Hey everybody, it's Ashley from Reading for Sanity. Welcome to Freeform Friday. Today I'm going to talk about some places that you can find books that maybe you haven't thought of. If you have some other ideas, feel free to drop those in the comments. But for now, I think I've got a pretty good list of different places you can hear about books other than just the typical Facebook hive mind. I don't hear about books necessarily from the Facebook call out, hey everybody, what's your favorite books? Although I do have friends that do that, and you better believe I browse that list and looking through, see what I can find. Most of the time it's stuff I've already seen. I don't feel like it's anything super surprising or new, although sometimes there is, so that's a fun place. But some places maybe you haven't thought of. First of all, book review sites. Obviously this is an obvious one for us because here at Reading for Sanity, we try and bring you books that maybe aren't on your radar or that are on your radar and you just were kind of wondering what they're like. But that's definitely a really good place to start. Book review sites are solicited by a lot of different companies. Reading for Sanity gets maybe, 20 emails a day from different publishing houses of lists and lists of books that they have coming out. So a lot of the stuff we're reviewing and we're getting is stuff that isn't even on the shelves yet. So that's always fun to hear something that's new and fresh, maybe not like the typical Facebook list kind of thing. Next is, of course, the obvious Goodreads. And you look at the Goodreads newsletters they have and the Goodreads news feed from your friends what they're reading. That's always a good thing. They often have sponsored books and sponsored things for you to look at too. So those are options. Another one is publishing house newsletters. I am on the newsletter list for probably 4 or 5 different publishing houses, independent of what I do at Reading for Sanity. So, and they're usually really big publishing houses. So a lot of them, like I said before, it's books I've seen, especially if they're ones that they're really promoting it. Like if they have an award winner, that's on almost every list. But I like to look and see what they've got and what's new and coming out. And sometimes it's not on my radar. And I also like to see what everybody's reading, because just because everyone's reading it doesn't mean that it's not great. Like I want to be part of that too. The next thing to look at is award winners. There are tons of different awards given. There's children's awards, there's adult awards, there's just genre awards like mystery, crime, thriller, all those. There's also regional awards. These are easily found by just Googling book awards, and you can see more awards than you ever thought of. It's not just like the normal Caldecott or Newbery or the Pulitzer. There's tons and tons of awards. We at Reading for Sanity often tag our award winners on our site, so that's another place to look. But I do like to see what's winning awards, and I like to see why, and kind of make a judgment for myself. Another good thing to do is podcasts. I listen to 2 in particular. Sometimes I listen to the Goodreads podcast. They interview authors, and I enjoy that, but I really like Kirkus Reviews. They often have a lot of authors that they interview, which I find is really interesting. I like to put them on my to-read list and kind of think about which ones I want. But I really do like listening to podcasts, and that's more in depth of what a book is like and what an author was thinking about when they did it. Another option is libraries. Libraries have lists that they have usually in kind of central areas, lists of different kinds of books for different ages, different genres. They have tons of lists. Often a lot of libraries also have blogs where different librarians will blog about their favorites. I found some great seasonal reads from our library according to their blog when they post stuff, and it's fun to see what they've got. They also will sometimes do awards nights. So my local library does an awards night in January where they talk about the best books of the year last year. And they go over all of them, and they have different librarians present it. And that's really cool to see. I like to see what the librarians who are kind of boots on the ground, what they're liking and what they're seeing. I don't always agree with them being my favorite book because I've often read a lot of them, but sometimes I find great stuff, and sometimes I totally agree that it was an excellent book. But it's a great place to find new books. Another thing is symposiums. I don't know if you've ever been to one of those. I've been to a children's book symposium, which is really cool. There are adult novel ones, or adult genre, not necessarily adult novel, but adult genre books, and just all kinds of different symposium. If there's one near you, I think it's well worth your time. Sometimes they're kind of expensive. The one I've gone to is a couple $100s, but it's really cool, and you get to see the authors speaking. And when I went, I got to see just really cool authors. And And also there's author nights that are held at my local library. So often, I mean, I've heard Lois Lowry at my local library, which is really cool. So look for those kind of things. She had some books I hadn't heard of, even though she's always been on my radar. So that's a great place to find them. And then all the obvious is people in your life. You got friends, you've got family members, you've got cohorts, and then, you know, that's kind of where the Facebook feed comes in. Like, hey everybody, hive mind, what are you reading? That's where you would get that kind of thing, is from Facebook. And then another thing is book clubs. Don't forget about book clubs. I like my book club because there's a diversity of women. We read a lot of different things. Sometimes I like the book, sometimes I don't like it as much, but that doesn't mean that I don't think that it's really interesting to see what people like, and it's often really fun to have the discussion and enjoy talking about the book. And even if it's not a book that I loved, I enjoy being with those women and just kind of learning more about and having a discussion about the things. And then once you choose that, put it on your to-read list to keep it organized. I have a to-read list on Goodreads. I like that because it keeps track of everything. I like Goodreads that I can bookshelf stuff like years and whatever. One thing I do wish it had is I wish that I could put where I got the to-read suggestion from. So sometimes I hear it from some random person. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll add that to my Goodreads to-read list, and I may not read it as soon as something like, oh yeah, I heard this from Kirkus Reviews, I would love to read that now, or I saw this somewhere that seems really cool. So I do wish that there was somewhere that I could kind of note where I got that from, and I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books on that list. So it's not like I can just like jot a quick note down on my phone. That's just too much. I hope you found some new places to find books today. And if you have any questions or anything, let me know. Or also, let me know if you have some other places that you like to find books. Leave that in the comments. But for now, go find a new book.